When the Federation Council considered the problems of population and food supply throughout their territory, they would eventually come to one conclusion: terraforming was the answer. And to aid them in this noble quest, the Arkwright class would be born. But what do we know about this very unusual starship design? Well, today we'll find out. Hello and welcome to another episode of Truth or Myth Beta Canon, a Star Trek web series that dives into the history of any given topic using beta canon sources and my own imagination to fill in the gaps. In today's episode, we're taking a look at the Arkwright class to better understand its place in Star Trek history. Please note, I love a challenge. I get a lot of Starship requests here on the channel, and I simply add them to my to-do list, intending on returning to make those videos for you all to enjoy, at least eventually. However, every once in a while, there's someone who makes a request that absolutely inspires me into action. And so is the case with this video. A friend and fellow Star Trek YouTuber of mine, who shall remain nameless, challenged me to kitbash what they described as the worst Starship design they had ever created into existence, and to give it a backstory and purpose that might make the design tolerable. And so I did, and here we are. However, because this is just a bit of fan fiction, all information relayed should pretty much be taken with a grain of stardust and only considered a little bit of Star Trek fun. And so, with all that out of the way, let's begin. As the United Federation of Planets expanded, so too did its problems. From the outside, the Federation appeared as a well-oiled machine, chugging along with its citizens having no cares in the world. But of course, this wasn't the truth. Bringing so many different species together under one roof would always have its challenges, with the biggest headaches being space. Not space as in the cosmic sense, but rather living space. The Milky Way galaxy was filled with Class M planets, with most of these worlds occupied by an alien species. And when an uninhabited Class M planet was discovered, the race would be on to colonize that world before anyone else could claim it. But along with bringing all these very disparate species under the same peace and cooperation umbrella came a lot of unexpected side effects. The intermingling of species could have dire consequences on the various worlds and colonies of the Federation. Though medically most species had been cleared or restricted for various contacts, no one had ever thought about the worlds themselves. For example, if a Federation citizen decided to visit a colony world, that citizen could accidentally introduce a bacteria or virus which had very little effect on their own homeworld into a new bio-ecosystem, where it could mutate and become a complete disaster. Perhaps the most famous of these issues was the incident at Tarsus 4 in 2246. An Earth colony, the planet would be invaded by an exotic fungus, which would destroy most of the colony's food supply. Believing that there was no help in sight, Governor Kodos, also known as Kodos the Executioner, would make the decision to kill half of the 8,000 colonists so that the other half might live to be rescued. What Governor Kodos was unaware of was several starships that were engaged in a classified mission less than 10 light-years distance. And shortly after the executions, a task force led by the USS Constellation and the USS Shenzhou would arrive at the planet to render aid. Throughout its history, regardless of tests and planning, these types of situations could rear their ugly head at any time. And thus, the Federation Council would seek to enact various plans to alleviate any such disasters, to avoid another Tarsus 4 incident. One of these initiatives would be the terraforming projects. Terraforming was a long, drawn-out, and complicated project, but if successful, whole planets could be easily converted to farming worlds, curing any food shortages or living space issues. So the United Federation of Planets would put out the call for scientists to undertake this massive project, creating the Planetary Terraforming Subdivision. By the technological explosion of the 2270s, no plan, no matter how unrealistic in regards to terraforming, was off the table. From altering a planet's position within a star system to a torpedo-like device that could reorganize matter, the rubber stamp of approval seemed to be handed out willy-nilly, with a great number of Starfleet's starships of the line being assigned to these scientific teams to locate the best planets and star systems for them to test their theories on. By the turn of the century, most of these wild and unprecedented theories would bear no fruit or be outright failures, with traditional and long-term time-consuming processes being the only true option for the Federation. And as a result, a special Starship class would be created to oversee these various projects, and in 2302, the Arkwright class would be born. Sitting at a length of 448 meters, the Arkwright class would be designed to be operated by 452 officers, crew members, and scientific specialists. Heavily influenced by the new Excelsior class design, the Arkwright class would include 4 specially modified warp nacelles that could allow the class to travel at higher warp speeds than even her Excelsior class older sister. As a result, the Arkwright class would have a standard safe cruising speed of warp factor 8, with an emergency maximum speed of warp factor 13.5 for 36-hour increments, all old warp scale of course. Most citizens throughout the Federation would wonder why the class required such speeds, but to Starfleet Command it made absolute sense. Not only could the class's high warp capacity mean that it could oversee several projects light years apart, but the Arkwright class could easily outrun any competitors to a newly discovered unoccupied Class M world, establishing a colony or base using its industrial fabrication facilities. While tactically, the Arkwright class could provide protection to these newly established colony worlds via its massive weaponry array, which included overcharged dual-phaser emitter banks, as well as 6 torpedo launching systems. Shielding for the Arkwright class would also receive an upgrade, being 13% more powerful than the Excelsior class. The industrial fabrication complex of the Arkwright class was like no other in the Federation. Utilizing various underdevelopment technologies, the Arkwright class would actually be the testbed for what would eventually become the replicator system, though at this time, that technology could only create very basic, non-food items. A massive sensor array system would also be included in the secondary hull of the class. Based on the Oberth class's technology, this sensor array would be the most sensitive short-range scanning system created up to that time. This would allow for fast and deep sensor scans of an entire planet that would allow the Arkwright class to confirm suitability of terraforming a world, as well as the best way to undertake the project on said world. 2 drop-style shuttle bays, as well as an enhanced transporter system, would also be included in the class. 35 vessels of the Arkwright class would be constructed, receiving periodic upgrades and refits as required, and like the Excelsior class, the Arkwright class would remain in service for quite a long period of time, lasting until 2396. Created as a mobile terraforming and colony establishing starship design, the Arkwright class would prove its worth time and time again throughout the Federation's 24th century, earning this unusual starship design its valued place in Federation history. Thank you for watching today's episode of Truth or Myth Beta Canon. What do you think of the Arkwright class and the historical narrative that I've created here? Do you want to see more videos like this one? Well, leave your comments in the section below, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, hitting that little bell icon so you won't miss a single video we release. Want to help the channel create a device that can reorganize matter at the subatomic level to create a beautiful Class M planet ready for habitation? Then consider becoming a channel member subscriber or a channel patron, both a major help that allows this channel to purchase resources and 3D models to keep it going. The link to both memberships is in the description below. Thanks again for watching. Live long and prosper.